Hi, Pile One. So today we're looking at what your creative energy is, your unique creative energy, and how it shapes the world. So already I've pulled some cards for you, and I have the storyteller coming right out to give the overall energy for your reading today. And I'm definitely feeling that this group of people tuning into this reading are communicators. There's a lot of swords energy here. So definitely you guys do something with communication. You either are writers or podcasters or historians or researchers, or the list can go on. You can be speakers, you can do whatever you want, but there's definitely an element of intellectual, an intellectual capacity and a capacity to use your words. That's coming through really, really strong. I'm also, with storyteller, I'm also getting the energy that you guys use your creative energy in a way that helps to communicate greater truths about the world or about the state of things to other people. So you may be like poets or musicians or creative writers, but you still have an element of social care. That's what I'll say. And it could be that you are historians, but I think mostly this is a group that, in whatever way, tells stories. Now bear with me if you're not a writer. This reading could still relate in the sense that you could tell stories in other ways and communicate truths in other ways. But you do have a tendency to create like a world that people can then, I think, find solace in some way and find clarity through. So let's see. So the sole purpose of your reading, I have some pretty intense energy. 9 of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, and Ace of Swords. And then that's clarified by 5 of Cups. So the soul story behind this creative gift that you have in this life is one of basically replacing anxiety and poverty and struggle and strain and hardship with truth, with what is true, what is the most important, what is fair, what is just. And so I think that there was like a past life that you've experienced where you lost a lot. You lost everything. You lost things that were meaningful to you, or you lived a life of struggle and strain and turmoil. And this soul gift that you then have being expressed in this life is one that has the clarity and the understanding. It's like you have processed that life, and this life is the one where you get to express the wisdom that you gained through living in hardship, through living in struggle, through living with like maybe the lower classes of society, like, and quote unquote lower, like, you know, the people who struggle in society the most, or coming out of an experience of loss with a deeper, like, spiritual understanding of what is truly just and what is right and what truly matters. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling like this soul, this creative gift has like a root in your soul, like in your kind of like Akashic lineage, being connected to loss and hardship. So we're going to see how that ties in a little more in a sec, but the next part of your reading is about how this gift is expressed in this life, like how, like literally in what kinds of ways you express this creative power that you have. And we have 9 of Wands, Queen of Swords, and 3 of Wands here. So you definitely are using your words. You're using your clarity of mind, clarity of sight, and what you do is you help clear confusion and fear and caution that people have. You help people to see the potential of things. So you may also be a writer in the sense of, or like a communicator in the sense of like you do what I do, and you do like readings for people, but you use this like clarity of sight that you have, like maybe could even be clairvoyance, and you help people to get out of situations where they feel stuck and they feel like they can't be brave enough to live their lives and to take chances, and you help them to take chances. I do also think that you point people through your work, you point people towards what is greater than them, something that is beyond just their daily struggle and their daily experience, and you show them what is out there. You show them the beauty of the world and the expansiveness of the world. You may also point people to the struggles of others, so that they can put things into perspective for themselves. They can put their own experience of hardship into perspective. So you could be like a journalist even. That could be expressed through that. You have overcome your own experience of hardship in this life as well. By the way, everything I was talking about before with the soul journey, that could all just be what you've experienced in this life now, right? That you have learned from. And you've transformed your state of mind and bloomed out of negativity and like a mental state that was one of like a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, and you found a way to express yourself through. You expressed your way out of that, I think, like with your words, and now you have turned your talent for communicating into, first of all, a job for yourself that supports you, or a way of life that you feel really integrity, like you feel integrity through it. You feel like this is definitely meant for you. The way that you're expressing your creativity through communication, this is definitely very, very on point for you. And you know that. You feel very confident in your abilities now. And so you point, I'm really getting this feeling like you point to what is out there. You show people the world, and you show people what is true, what is really happening, what is really... But I think you can also be doing this in like a more spiritual way too, if you want to, if that is something that really like resonates with you. You point people from like out of their own earthly struggle, or their own like daily struggle, or timidness, or feeling like the world is against them, and you show them the expansiveness of God, or like the expansiveness of the world, and you show them a higher perspective. And it's funny, you do this through storytelling, you do this through telling. I think you are journalists. I think there's like a lot of people here who are political writers or social commentators or journalists or essayists, like things like that. You could even be songwriters or illustrators, anything like that. But what you're doing is you're telling stories, right? Like you could really be writers. You could be novelists. And you create openings for people to explore parts of themselves and potentials that maybe they hadn't considered, whether through their own imagining of themselves in those situations, or by it kind of, imagining others experiencing those things. But their perspectives are definitely broadened. So that's funny, because that's how you are expressing. But I think that what actually happens and how you shape the world with this gift is, you have the world here in reverse. So I think that you do actually, that a global perspective is important to you. But you have the Four of Swords as well. And so the way that you shape the world with this creative gift that you have, this creative energy, is, it's funny, it's clarified by the Ten of Swords as well. So there's an energy of stillness, strength reversed. You shape the world through I'm getting a few different things. I'm just going to channel, so I'm just going to talk, and then hopefully this resonates with you guys. But there's like a stillness of mind and heart. So I think what you do is you ease the struggles of people. You ease the burdens that they are kind of tortured by, or like that they're, tortured is a really strong word, like impacted by in some way, and you help people to rest. You help people to take a minute, take a beat, take some downtime. And what happens when people interact with your creative energy in whatever way it is expressed, they are able to take repose from their daily life or from the madness of the world and the nonstop kind of like energy that we all experience daily. And they take time to really contemplate and to really rethink everything, but they do that in a kind of a stillness. So I really am getting readership, like people are reading, because you have to be like still to read. Like I can't walk and read at the same time. You can't be multitasking. You have to just like allow yourself to rest into that experience. And I really do think that you also help people to shift their mindset or shift away from phases of their life where they're not, like, you help people to transition. You help people to transition out of and into like new states of mind. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's like you're not reinventing the wheel. You're not necessarily inventing things that are new, and you're not giving people necessarily things that they've never ever heard of before. But the way that you do things, the way that you express yourself, it helps people to change, but in a way that's really an introverted experience, like an introspective experience. And it actually completely shifts the way that they see things and the way that they think about a whole entire like aspect of their life, basically. And it kind of calms them. It calms the spirit. It calms the soul. I think it humbles people, what you do. Again, I'm really getting strongly that somebody tune into this reading is like a journalist or a social commentator, because it helps people to, you're clearly shifting minds, but through a kind of humility and a kind of like, like a calming down of energy. Like take a minute to think about where you're going. Take a minute to think about everything that you've been through. You could also be meditation guides. So hopefully if you are and you've listened this long, thank you, because we didn't talk about that yet. But you absolutely could be like guides through guided practices, guided transformation, or like active imagination, journeying. You could be meditation guides. You could do lots of things like that where people like are transformed, or hypnotists even, like you transform people through the spoken word, and they do that in repose. Like they do that literally in a hypnotic state or in a calmed meditative state. So you guide people almost into sleep, and then you help them to shift out of phases, like, or shift out of states of mind, or shift out of like old patterns of behavior that they need to let go of, and help them to expand their mind. You could even be psychedelic guides. You could like do lots of different things, but basically in general, your creative gift is shaping the world into a more contemplative place, into a more humble place, into a place where we don't where we take repose, we take rest, and we think about our impact in the world as well, and our state, how we actually, I think, ironically, you help people think about how they shape the world as well. But I do think that you are shaping the world in a sort of passive way, right? You, by your creative expression, it's people come to it or they experience it and then it affects them passively. It affects them on a mental level, not in like a physical level. There's 2 strength cards here. And strength is a card about inner fortitude, right? It used to be called fortitude back in the day. It's about conviction, but conviction through the taming of the soul, like the taming of the subconscious, the taming of, not the soul, but the taming of the subconscious, the taming of the sort of instinctual nature of the human animal, or the human body and experience. And not that the animal needs to be dominated per se, the inner animalistic traits that humans all have. It's not really about that. It's more about understanding the subconscious, understanding why we may react in certain ways, and then taming the wild reactions of the subconscious like energy through understanding, through integration, right? So it's like shadow work and somatic practices to me are always kind of like tied to the strength card, because, and there's a lot of different ways you can read the strength card, but in this scenario, I do think that it has to do with an inner contemplation that you bring. It's like you provide a space for people to do that, to confront their own inner expressive force, their own inner subconscious, their own, and also their own creative drive. Especially with Leo being associated with the strength card, there is a creative energy that is eternally existing within all of us. And I think one of the ways that you shape the world is you help people to sort of like think about, or maybe shift their own subconscious beliefs around how they can impact the world creatively. I think you could also, I really think you could be manifestation guides, in the sense where you're telling the story of the world, or you're communicating in a way that helps people to really genuinely shift their concept of what's possible for themselves, and to understand that they have creative agency in the world. Yeah, definitely. Okay. I'm going to pull one blessing card for you guys from the Rose Oracle. One blessing moving forward for pile number 1. Oop. Okay, so we have the Rose Thread, Inner Call, Soul Led, the Mystic, Living Courageously. It's a beautiful card. So we are getting the Mystic and Soul-Led Inner Call. So I do think that, yeah, Living Courageously with the Strength card, it's definitely about courage. Definitely that Leo lion energy and fortitude, in the sense of, it's not just about the integration stuff. It's also about living boldly and having bravery and having courage and kind of tending to that inner fire and like getting it stoked, and then going forth and making something happen in your life that you want to happen, making your dreams come true. So I really do think that if there are like guides, like manifestation guides, spiritual guides, teachers, meditation teachers in this reading here, listening, thank you for staying. And I think that you have a very socially conscious perspective that comes into all the work that you do and all the creative expression that you do. And that's part of your soul-led journey. That's part of your inner calling in yourself, is to take care of the world in that way, and to help people to see that they can get themselves out of negative experiences and difficult experiences, and you can help them shift that through your words, through your storytelling. In any case, I do think that your work in general does help people to believe in themselves, helps people to believe in their own inner callings. Even if you tell stories, like you write novels and you tell like hero stories, there's something about your stories that you tell that are inspiring and that embolden people on their own adventures. So it's a beautiful message, Pile 1. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you for tuning in. Bye. Hi, Pile 2. So how does your creative energy shape the world? What is it like? What's unique about your creative energy? We have the card, the Ancestors, came up for you. So, yeah, you definitely have and like an authoritative presence, I'm getting. We have the Hierophant, and we have 2 King of Wands cards here as well. So your creative energy for sure has, the way that it's expressed is quite authoritative, quite impactful on the world. I think that you may be employed by, in some way or another, by institutions or by greater powers where you're able to express your creative energy, you're able to express your force and your knowledge and your expertise, and you guide others through your knowledge, you guide others through your deep understanding of things and your ability to lead and your ability to influence others. You're definitely very influential. I am picking up that your gifts, your creative gifts, and the sole reason, the sole lesson underneath them, or the reasoning for it on like a soul level, is actually really beautiful, because there's this energy in the way that your creativity is expressed that can maybe come off a bit like, whoa, like a bit yang, like a bit masculine, and that's fine, like that's like a neutral kind of energy. But I just feel that the sole purpose for it is actually a spiritual balancing of the world. It's like you are bringing forth, through your creative energy this lifetime, you actually bring balance to the world, is what I heard. You bring actually something joyful, something joyous, something fun, something fulfilling emotionally to others that balances out the forces of the world, balances out everything. And I'm not sure yet how, but in whatever way you do bring, I'm really feeling fun. You bring something fun to the world. You bring something that opens people's hearts or opens their minds. And it is actually, even though it may come off as like, or it may have a form it takes in your life where that can be a bit like seemingly structured or like forceful or impactful, it is actually it's like a positive force in the world, It's a positive, enjoyable thing. It's something that brings a goodness to the planet, an emotional goodness to the planet that balances out kind of the chaos around us, that sort of keeps things in balance. That's what I'm getting. So, and on that note, I do think that you may, because of this leadership role that you have, you may yourself keep things in balance. You may express your creativity through leading, like through directorial pursuits, through telling, making decisions, telling people what you want your vision to look like, and then going for it. I think that you have a really like positive, like a strong vision. You can see the creative things that you want to create, or the things that you want to create, and then you help people to step out of negativity and and boredom or apathy around this vision or around anything that's kind of getting in the way of your vision. And you have a really strong presence and ability to do this. It's like a natural ability that you have, and you should be using it this way, even if you're not. You are meant to be leading like that. You're meant to be directing people. You're meant to be interpreting your vision to others so that they can help you to bring it into being. I definitely don't get with you guys that you are, like when I started off saying you're employed by a greater institution, if you are, you're definitely in strong leadership roles, where you have a lot of creative liberty, and you're able to express your confidence. You don't have to hide your confidence. You don't have to hide your power. So you could be like hired by or employed by a bigger conglomerate or something, but they put a lot of responsibility in your hands and you run with it. You take a lot of chances and like people trust you, I think, for that. Or if they don't, they will. And then again, if they don't, I mean, that's part of the journey. I'll just say that. Like being a leader means taking accountability for your decisions. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But you do have the choice always to act with integrity and to act in line with your beliefs and to act in line with what you think is right. And I do think that sometimes it can make people feel a little uncomfortable, or you may make people feel that, okay, this is what I'm getting. I think your personality, or like your, sounds really intense to say it that way, your creative energy, right? In the way that it's best expressed for you, you do actually uplift people. You lift people up out of an emotional stagnancy, which is the soul gift as well with the Knight of Cups. You bring people balance. You actually bring more emotional openness to people just through your presence, just through your creative expression and your vision. You could, let's say you're a film director or something, or an art director or something, where you work in film. I don't know why I'm getting that because of the institution thing. I don't know why, but so let's say you have a vision for a film or for like costume design or something, and you take the leadership. But what you do when you do that, when you like partake in that expression of your creativity, you actually lift people. It's like a portal or an opening or an offering. It's like an offering to others that sparks emotional life in the person who's interacting with your stuff. And it sparks them out of potentially feeling negative, feeling bored, or feeling apathetic. And it brings people back into their heart space and back into their sense of gratitude as well. So if you're not like a visual artist or a filmmaker or something like that, then this could be that what you do in whatever form, and I can't even say what it would be, but the function of your creativity is to do this, is to spark people back into their gratitude, back into a sense of emotionality and aliveness, and their sense of life and their sense of like positivity. So the way that you shape the world is definitely swift movement, swift change. You have like a lot of energy, and you bring like new ideas and new possibilities to people very, very quickly. So your creative power is something that is extremely generative and regenerative. Like you don't really run out of creative energy very often, or if you do, you know how to kind of replenish that energy, or it naturally comes back after some chill time. And so the energy that you bring to the world and how you shape the world is like you also bring others ideas. you bring others just through your natural expression of your creative energy, or your personality, or the way that you like walk around the world. You are bringing people ideas. You're like sending your creative ideas all over the place, your creative potential, and it actually creates a more creative world, which is like an amazing gift to have. I don't know if you realize how incredibly powerful it is to be so abundantly creative and so fiery in your creative energy that it impacts others. It impacts the ability for others to create, even if they don't even realize it. Like, you give people ideas, you give people empowerment, and you show people what's possible. You show people that they have everything they need to create an experience that they want. I think you may also teach. You may be like a teacher of some kind to students, and you send your you have a really swift intellect and energy that really does impact your students, if you are students, or if you have students, or if you want to ever teach and have students. You absolutely change them. Like, everything that you know, that you impart on them, like your knowledge that you impart on them, it sets them up to be incredible creators of their own kind. With the magician here, it's like you literally set them up for, it's like you are, you could like help people through like apprenticeships and things like that, and you're so knowledgeable because you yourself have been the apprentice, and so you can impart that experience really, really easily onto someone else, and it sets them up for like a lifetime of success and for empowerment. And yeah, we have the King of Rods as well here again. So this creative vision is so strong in you. You guys are definitely, you keep your eyes on what it is that, like, you can feel where there is creative potential, and you really enjoy the process of focusing in on something, focusing on a project, and seeing it through and making it happen. And I think you derive a lot of pleasure and excitement from watching your creations unfold. I'm like really feeling like David Lynch energy. Like, you could be pretty out there with your views, or with your like what you want to create in the world. You could be pretty abstract, but it doesn't really matter, because the strength of your creative vision is such that it transforms the world anyway. Like, your creative ideas transform and make people, it generates new ideas in other people. Like, in fact, your uniqueness is something that brings others their own, like, it brings them ideas as well. It brings them creative success as well. With the Ancestors card is interesting because we have a bunch of like standing stones here, and we have birds flying in the image. I'm really thinking that this doesn't necessarily have I think what this could be talking about is the lineage of knowledge that you have. I think you guys value the process of training and of developing skill in order to but it's through experience. It's not necessarily through books and learning and like going and doing a degree. You really, really appreciate the creative power and success that comes through in a long-lived experience with creativity, like time spent doing something, time spent perfecting a craft, time spent like, you know, going through the ups and downs through trial and error and like mastering something. That's basically, I think that's like really what you do. And I think, yeah, I really do see you also fulfilling larger projects. So, like I said before, if you guys are filmmakers or something, or you work on film sets, it's like you enjoy the process of seeing a project from the beginning to the end. And that brings deep satisfaction to you. And you do it again and again, and every time you do it, every time you do a project like that, or a show, or you write a thing, or you like make a big thing, like a project that takes like has a lifespan in a sense, right? It's something that is like birth. It starts living, and then you have to keep going, and then it's like finished and done, and you send it out there. And that process brings you a deep kind of satisfaction that actually like literally feeds your soul. And I think now we come back around with the ancestors. I think that the process of your creativity, the experience of your creativity in this life, is something that you've kind of unlocked through your like ancestral line. Like it's a culmination of skill and of like, I'm not saying that you like learned what you do now through any family members or through some kind of lineage, but the power and agency that you have in your creative expression this life is something that your ancestors celebrate through you, like celebrate through the expression of you. Like you may also, this is what I'm really getting actually with this message as well, is you may have ancestors, either like deep past ancestors or more recent ones, that did something with the same kind of energy, but in like a different field or a different institution. Or let's say you are an artist of some kind, right? Like you're like a creative artist. You may have ancestors, like you were a director, let's say of some kind, in a directorial position. You had ancestors or relatives that were also in leadership roles, also in directorial positions or something like that, but maybe not artists. They may have like worked for government, or they may have like, I don't know, who knows, like been kings or queens, or like been social leaders in some way. Like this is a power that is actually connected to your ancestral line. And doesn't really matter per se. Like it's not necessarily the most, like, it's not like you need to know, but it is really cool to know that the reason you're like this is because there's a soul lineage of people that you're connected to, that you're birthed from or through, that have this capacity. And it is a very generative and powerful force in the world that actually, it does physically impact the world. Like this question of how does it shape the world, like what you do and what you create in the world, whatever it is and however it is, it does physically change things, and it energetically changes things, for the better, for the positive. But it does, I do also think that I know I said that you bring balance to the world, but you may bring balance through shaking things up, through instability, through unique perspectives, ways that people hadn't really thought about things, like a new expression, a fresh expression, something unique that makes people feel something. It opens people's hearts up in some way, opens up their minds as well. And you may do that by creating a little bit of instability or a little bit of chaos or changing things, but ultimately it's always being brought into balance. Like what you actually do on a soul level is create an emotional experience that, that like kind of, I think it's also that you play with the eternal creative energy that exists. Like you understand, or your soul understands, that creative energy is like an eternity thing. It's about, like, it's not something that can be depleted, or it's not a finite resource. It's infinite. And so your soul has come here in a sense, or is expressing in this life, and through your creative pursuits in all ways, the joy and the romance of that, of just playing with the force of life, playing with the creative concept, or the creative path, like, and potential, the creative potential that you and everybody has access to. And I think you drink from the river of endless creativity, is what I'm hearing. Like, your cup is always full whenever you want it, with ideas, with the water of life, with art, with dream, with like romance and communication too. I'm noticing on this Knight of Cups that he has like Hermes. He has the feathers or the wings of Hermes on his helmet and boots. So I do think that you have this romantic energy, because I always think of Hermes as like a trickster romantic in a sense, where he moves between, in the in-between, in the liminal. And I think that's what you guys do, and the Two of Pentacles also gives that as well, like moving in the liminal space, in the place of the infinite, where there's always more, there's always energy, there's always something new, there's always something to be like shared. So you've come here to share and to be, I think, a portal for creative flow that others can access, and that can, just the creative flow, just the creative energy, and like the spark of life that comes through you in all these different ways actually helps other people to be more alive. It actually helps them to, it sparks the creativity within them. So let's get one blessing for you, blessing for Pal 2. Oh, it's too many. You don't get that many blessings. Okay, a blessing for Pal 2. Woo. We have the Thorn, protection, boundaries, clear communication. That's your blessing card. So, interesting. I think you guys are actually, this is like a message of guidance from maybe your ancestors, from your guides, from your higher self, from me, who knows. But you're being encouraged to set some boundaries with your energy, just so that you can protect your personal flow, because you do have such a great presence, like such a big presence. I think you probably draw a lot of attention to you, and because you are quite impactful, maybe even like forceful in the world, like you have, meaning like you make an impact, and you draw attention to yourself, you may actually draw some like jealousy, envy, you may draw some kind of like contention people might have with you around, like, you know, how swift you are with your decisions, or like how forceful you can be with your ideas. So they're saying, first of all, communicate clearly with people what your boundaries are. So set them, figure them out, be really honest about it with people. And also, if you want to take some like more metaphysical approaches, you might want to do some protection barriers kind of around your energy, or in your house, or like wear stones that reflect negative energy, things like that. Because you don't necessarily, like, this isn't about being wary, cautious, or afraid. This is about you protecting the sacredness of your flow, and not worrying about other people's opinions of you, because you are meant to be impactful. You're meant to be big. You're meant to be like big, like bigger than others, I think. Yeah. And you understand the connectedness of everything. Like if you understand, if you allow yourself to be who you are, and not to worry too much about the opinions of others, you will find the sacredness and the beauty and the like deeper truths of the power of your creative nature if you just allow yourself to fully express it. Because you have the potential through your creative gift or gifts or expressions to root into like deep connection with the world and with others. Like, you actually are a force for connection because of the ways that we discussed, like through sparking life and ideas in other people and bringing them your knowledge and your expertise. In some way you connect the world to itself, like here, or you are a network, like you're interconnected with things. And that's something to celebrate and to be proud of and to continue to pursue. And you are a gift, like you bring this as a gift to others. And so if they're not willing or able to receive it, then you just have to like let that fall away and not take it personally, because your particular energy might not be enough for people. It might be a little thorny for some people, and that's okay. That's totally okay. The thorn often still, like, you know, it protects the rose, like it protects something. So you need to be a little self-protective, but you also need to realize that you can also be off-putting to people, and that's fine. That's totally fine. That actually, what that does is it separates people who are not aligned with you or who can't hear your message in your way. They just kind of takes them out of the picture, and allows you to be even more authentic with the people that get you. So that's your message today, Pile 2. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye. Hi, Pile 3. Thank you for coming here to your reading. So we're talking about your creative energy and how it is best expressed and how it shapes the world. We're also looking at what this sort of the spiritual lesson or soul lesson inherent in your creative power is about. And right off the bat, I'm getting that you are learning lessons around, or you're experiencing lessons, or you're bringing to the world a lesson around learning to have hope, learning to believe, learning to have faith. Because you have the Star and the Page of Pentacles. So yeah, I'm definitely feeling with your creative energy. It's something that you've learned through lifetimes, it's almost like an interdimensional kind of thing. I'm getting to like this Aquarian thing of extraterrestrial kind of vibes as well. You could be into ETs, but you definitely are with the Page of Pentacles. It's like the school of life, the school of living, the school of the soul. And in this life, in this expression of your creativity too, you are living out the lesson of faith. That's like the biggest thing, like spiritual faith, and of having hope, and of replenishing the soul through connection, through recognizing one's inherent spiritual connection to the universe. So there is your card here, Spirit of Air. So I forgot to show you that. So this is the main card that you were drawn to, Spirit of Air. So I really am getting a spiritual connection, like a connection to the higher realms of consciousness, of thought, of existence. I think you may be drawn to, like I said, to celestial things, to astrology, to maybe interdimensional type things. You're definitely drawn to the spirit world, to the divine, to the concepts of the divine, or expressions of the divine. I think that that's what inspires you, And I think that you are here to actually express that through the things that you create and through the ways that you express yourself here on Earth in the physical realm. I think you guys are like probably star seeds. You may identify star seeds or as having like a very, very palpable spiritual connection. And what's really profound is the way that your spiritual gifts are expressed. So you have the Five of Pentacles, the Page of Cups reversed, and the Lovers. So I don't know if you want to look at the screen, but look at the way that these two cards reflect each other. How there's two people, and in the middle on the Five of Pentacles, there's two people suffering out in the cold. And in between them and above them is like a stained glass window representing warmth, representing a place to go that they don't have access to. What do you think about the metaphor in there? That is a church, probably, right? It looks like something like a church, and it's like a physical manifestation of a symbol for God. And these people are outside, and they can't access that body of Christ. They can't access the ship of Mary that people, I don't know, like you could think of like the church or the divine, the divinity inherent in God, or in the expression of God, or in the experience of religion, or the experience of spirituality. These people are outside of that experience. And then the Lovers here, it's like an Adam and Eve type thing with like Archangel Gabriel or Michael in the middle or something, where I think it's Gabriel because I don't see a sword, but anyway, or it's like God or something, right? And these people are bare and naked, and God is right there above them in full form, in full visibility. I'm seeing so much symbolism in these cards, more than I normally do. So whoever's tuning into this reading, I think you guys are quite esoteric and quite very spiritual people. And I think you will understand most of the things that I'm saying, even the religious stuff. I don't necessarily think you are. In fact, I think some of you may have experienced or grown up religious, and then you've kind of like escaped that, the bounds, or the boundaries, or the restrictions of conventional religion, and you now have like a very personal relationship with spirit and with the divine and with the universe. That's more like non-denominational, but there really is for sure a divinity that is at the source, or at the crux, or the core of your creative energy. And you have the way that you express your creative energy is in line with this concept of coming into full view of the divine, and of witnessing the divine as it actually is, and being in full confidence with your faith, and being completely authentic. That's the other thing too. You guys, Pile 3, see creativity as a form of deep vulnerability, deep exposure, and full authenticity, and that in doing that, you come closer to the universe. You come closer to the world soul. I actually really resonate with this reading. It's really beautiful. The Page of Cups in reverse in the middle here is like, I'm hearing like divested pursuits, offerings that don't work. Oh, it's like ritual as well. I think that what you do with like the actual, the practical way in which you express your creativity is, I think that you do this in each of your artworks, in each of the ways that you bring something, like that you offer. I think you think of your art as like offerings, in a sense, or an expression of love for the divine, an expression of understanding, an expression of like closeness to the divine. I think that it's like a meditative or ritualistic kind of, not ritualistic but sort of like a devotional practice. There we go. It's like a devotional practice, your creative expression, and the things that you create, the things that you do. You may make art, you may make songs, you may do anything, actually. I think whatever it is that you do, you know that your creative energy is this like force within you that connects you to the divine and to the universe. You see it all on a spiritual from a spiritual lens, I think, more than you think of it as a practical means for building wealth and building money. And we'll get to that in a second, because you do, in fact, build wealth through your creativity. But for you guys, what's at the heart of it is a devotional practice. It is an honoring of spirit. And you want this to be something that is, that's like a universal experience. Like, you know the truth. It's like you have this understanding in your heart that every time you make something, every time you do something, especially when it has like a mind to spiritual connection for yourself, every time you do that, it brings you closer to Eden, closer to paradise, closer to feeling like finally being at peace and feeling the presence of God like around you. The lovers are in the Garden of Eden. Like, they're coming back they're in that original place. They're in that paradise. They're still naked here. They're pure. And these people are the sort of like what happens to them after the fall. It's like it's like humanity's downfall, right? Compared to the godly sort of spiritual aspect of ourselves that still is eternally there, that's still always like accessible. And I think through your art, what you're doing is either personally accessing that Eden space, or creating an energy around you that is in such connection with God that you feel completely whole and completely at peace with yourself. But I think that it may also you may also create that experience for those that are interacting with the things that you create, or interacting with you. Wow, that's really cool. So moving on to how you shape the world. We have the Queen of Pentacles and the Four of Pentacles here. So you definitely are builders of wealth. Let me just say that. Like, yes, you have this spiritual center with your creative energy and everything that you kind of make in the world, but you guys are absolutely creators. You're like co-creators. And I think that's the key here, is you aren't locked away in a cave meditating and that's all you're really using your creative energy for. You're in connection with the divine, and from there you create immense and beautiful wealth. You create things that are, not only are they beautiful and enjoyable for others, something that actually gives back to the world. It literally replenishes the world's sense of beauty. It replenishes the physical plane with wealth. Like, you yourself embed the world with a kind of wealth mindset, or it's not even a wealth mindset. It's an experience of wealth. It's like an actual lived experience of wealth. And I think what you do is you do this in a way that is so grounded and so stable that it actually, it has the energy of like a gentle empire of some kind, like something that is so rooted in the physical, that is actually real. Like, whoever you guys are, you are building something. Like, you're building a business or physical objects or things that are beautiful, things that can be like palpably experienced in the world. Or it's like a structure of success around you that uplifts you and it allows you to live in abundance. And it's done in a way that is in alignment with the world, in alignment with the well-being of the world. The Queen of Pentacles is a nurturer of the world. She's like, you know, it's like a human example of like the Empress energy. It's like a more distilled energy, or version of the Empress energy. So she's all about creation, about wealth, about comfort, about abundance, about life, like life force, right? To clarify those, we do have the Two of Swords and the Four of Cups. So in how you shape the world with your creative energy, what you seem to do is offer the world something that I don't even think that people know what they need yet. Like, I can see what this is. This is like offering an option. It's like giving people another opportunity, giving people another option. When they think that they're at the end of the road, or they think that they're stuck, that's what it is. It's like people who are stuck. You offer them something that allows them to basically like get unstuck. The Four of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. Both of these energies are energies of resistance or restriction or stasis. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles, who is all about life, right? Life force and building and nurturing and growing. And this beautiful Four of Cups card, which has a very obvious offering coming down from the tree, right? Like it's like the apple that falls on Newton's head or whatever. It's like, was it Isaac Newton? Yeah, I think so. Or it's almost like it's a divine intervention, an idea, an insight rather, that comes down from the heavens on this person who's like waiting for insight, waiting for answers. And I think you are the answer that people need. You are the answer that allows them to feel comforted. I think you are comforting. You may also be like therapists or counselors, or somebody who nurtures others in some way, even nurses, but you like actually are the person that offers a sense of both safety and insight and levity, in a sense, like levity to somebody who is maybe feeling a little down or a little bit out. So your creative presence in the world it creates that experience for people. It creates this experience of coming home and being called into back into themselves, being called into their own sense of warmth and comfort and growth, I think, as well. I think it also, the way you shape the world is you may, through a process of creative expression, you lift people out of a sense of lack and immobility and into an energy of abundance and growth mindset. With the Eight of Pentacles here, I think you guys are creators of physical things. And if you aren't creators of physical things, I think that you have a kind of craft that you do. It's like what you do is a craft that you have mastered, that you have like learned how to do over time. And it's allowed you to I think it's like a mastery of a specific kind of craft. And you've had some choices to make too, in order to, I think what it is, that there's been this journey that you've been on to learning how to do this thing. And you've had to look at yourself in the mirror over and over and over again and ask yourself, like, is this the right thing? Am I doing the right path? How am I doing with this thing? Like, what do I need to learn now in order to like get to the next stage of mastery? Like, what do I need to do next to get better at this? Like, to do better. And I think like you have refined your own soul through this process. You've refined not only your creative technique or your way of expressing your creativity, but you've also refined yourself, and you know exactly what it is that you like now, what it is that you're doing, and your relationship with this form of work that you do, or this form of creative expression, has been stabilized at this point in time. Like, you're finally, and if you're or you may be in the process of stabilizing this, but you're not stopping. It's like you've reached a level of mastery through that process of like mirroring with yourself and kind of going back and forth in relationship with the thing. And now you're like on a roll. So you're just going to continue to create and going to continue to create abundance in this sort of technique that you figured out. And like I said, it does, every time you make something, every time you do this thing, it brings you closer to that pure experience of being in alignment with the universe, being in alignment with God, and being your authentic self. And I think that that's part of your spiritual journey anyway, through your creativity, is being this pure soul aspect of yourself, like tapping into the soul and learning about your own soul, like learning about what it is that your soul came here to do, and actually integrating that into your creativity, integrating in your spiritual path. Like, for you guys, it will be important for you to understand your spiritual reason for being here, like your soul's reason for being here. Whereas like other creatives that I've read for, they don't necessarily need to know that in order to make their impact on the world and to be that like full expression. But for you guys, part of your full expression is to actually have a practical, strategic understanding of how your soul gifts and your Akashic records and like all of these things, your spiritual journey, how that actually applies to your life. Like, so seeking out like pathways of understanding yourself on a spiritual level, like astrology, numerology, human design, like lots of things like that will actually be like genuinely helpful for fulfilling your destiny. Because you definitely do have a destiny. Like, your creative energy is linked to a greater soul destiny. It's also linked to like a fulfillment of karma, or fulfillment it's like a fulfillment of a soul lesson. Like, you're meant to be doing whatever it is that you use your creativity for, and how you've like refined this process of work and of expression. Like, this is extremely important for you. And the way that you can tell you're on the right path, or you're angling towards the right expression, is you guys are the only ones that got this message, so feel special. But the way that you can know if it's right is if you, first of all, you feel like deeply and unexplainably drawn to do something. Like, this is a huge sign that that's actually what you're meant to be doing, because that's like your soul actually pulling you towards it. It's like the universe is pulling you, calling you towards doing a thing. So it'll be like a very strong, undeniable urge to move towards doing something in a certain way. It's like nothing else matters compared to that thing. And you may not even understand why you're feeling so called to do it, but by golly, you must do it. It's like an uncontrollable force. Also, the feeling within you, it's going to feel expansive. It's going to feel like, oh my God, like, whoa, like exciting and really expansive. And for you guys, that feeling will be really strong. So you can't miss it. That's the main message you're getting right now, is like, you probably are already on your path, so this is just like a confirmation of how to know, but like, you literally cannot miss it. You can't like mistake it for something else. Like, you know how some people are like, well, I think I like that thing. Like, you guys, it might be one thing, or it might be like 5 things, but, or a combination of things, but like, there is something that is just like so strong. And once you hear that call or feel that call inside you, like, I kind of feel it as like it pulls me from my heart, you know, like, whoa, like it feels like a string is pulling me. And you'll know exactly what I mean, because that's what that feeling is, and that's the thing that you're meant to be doing. And just forget about everything else. It's like, literally just like, leave it all, leave everything else behind. Everything else that doesn't make you feel like that, leave behind, because it just genuinely doesn't matter for you in this lifetime. It's not going to help you build abundance. Like, this is the stuff that's going to build you abundance. This is the kind of, like, even if it feels weird or unusual, that's the point. You're supposed to be on a unique path. You're a unique person, and you're meant to bring in abundance into this world through your own life. You're meant to build. Like, you're meant to build abundance upon abundance upon abundance. You're meant to like actually root into the world and then build up an experience of beauty and nourishment and wealth, and then offer from there. Just in case you were, because I think a lot of you guys are really spiritual, right? So those of us who have been on spiritual paths, or who have any kind of like religious trauma, or like any kind of like, you know, especially like Christian messaging that often seems to like uplift the idea of poverty as being more spiritual. This is something that you guys are learning is like not true, or is like just not actually, that's not the most, it's just not spiritually true. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Like, being in poverty is just being in poverty. And actually staying in poverty and being in a place of lack actually often keeps us farther from the spiritual work that we can do. It keeps us away from the expression of our gifts. And you guys are learning that like having abundance and being like thriving, like genuinely thriving and having more than enough, not only does it allow you to fulfill your spiritual mission, but it also allows you to effortlessly give to others. Like, because, and that's all connected. Like, part of what you're meant to do here is to give to others. And you're meant to be giving like from an energy of like Mother Earth, where, but in the good, in like the uplifting kind of sense, not in the like tragic sense, which is a whole other story. But you're meant to be moving out of restriction and lack and into endless abundance and growth. And you naturally will. Like, that's what I'm seeing here with these cards, is like the physical expression of your work, of your creativity, whether it's in physical form or in some other form, like in communication, because you do have spirit of air, so you could be communicators. But the things that you create, they are meant to build, they're meant to bring you into a state of purity in relationship to God and spirit and the divine. You're meant to be like bearing your soul, and it's exactly your true form. What you're doing with your creativity is your true form. And that's your Eden, that's your place of heaven, that's your place of paradise. And yes, you are meant to be there. You are meant to stay in that energy. You're not meant to be suffering, okay? So my battery's dying, so I'm just going to give you one card of one blessing. Hopefully this reading doesn't cut out before I've given you that. And then that'll be it. One blessing for pile 3. Okay. We have the reunion. That's so, with the Lover's card, that's so beautiful. Oh my God. Soul recognition, collaboration, partnership, friendship. So, first things first, you are blessed in your relationship with the divine. You are acknowledged by the divine right now through this card, through this message, that what you're doing is absolutely in alignment with the divine's higher purpose, and you are living it through yourself. You're acting in partnership with that which you hold most dear. And that is only going to bring you beautiful, beautiful blessings. Also, this, I need to say this, you do have a sacred relationship that you're meant to have in this life. And that's a message I didn't actually talk about, but we will just leave it as like a beautiful blessing at the end of this reading, that a secondary message in this whole thing is that you are meant to create with others, and especially with one other person. So collaboration and partnership and divine union with a soulmate, like with like a beautiful equal soulmate who is also on the same journey as you, who also is moving out of, you know, a soul history of lack and into this experience of abundance. They're here to do it with you. And it's funny, that part of your expression of your creativity is through relationship. It's through the things you can create with someone else. So whether that be like a partnership, like a marriage, like you create children, you create a beautiful home, you create like spaces for people to be. You do also have work to do, yes, but you do, part of your creative energy is actually it's like a human relationship thing. It's like, what can you create through the love of your body, like through the union of your bodies, as much as through your art, you know? So that's incredible. That's amazing. And I hope that this reading resonated with you. Absolutely beautiful. I'm going to show you the reunion card one last time. You can tap into the frequency of that card. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Your soul is meant to be doing this work. You are meant to be doing this work and living this life. This is a powerful message that was meant to find you. I know it, and so it is. Okay, pile 3. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again soon. All the best to you.